Hey guys, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm gonna walk you around one of the gardens here at Mr. Maple. It's one of my parents' rental houses to show you some cool Japanese maples we planted. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're all about Japanese maples here on the Mr. Maple Show. If you like that type of thing, make sure you subscribe and share this video with your gardening friends. We're starting off today with Acer palmatum Shishigashira. Now, Shishigashira is such an amazing little dwarf Japanese maple in the landscape. A classic selection. We featured in some of our other videos quite a bit, but it has a textured leaf that has this really unique sort of dense habit close to the structure of the plant, which looks like a lion's head. So one of the reasons why it's often referred to as a lion's head or lion's mane Japanese maple. It goes to yellows and oranges in the fall. We're in a shade garden here where many of the trees above us are a high oak canopy. That means that through here we get a lot of moss on the grounds. We get a denser sort of floor mat of those oak roots that we're planting in. And the trees aren't on any watering systems, so they're actually competing with the oaks as well. You'll see a shorter, denser structure in that kind of a manner, but we've got a beautiful garden we're gonna be showing you today. And this Shishigashira is one of the more interesting trees. Now, at Mr. Maple, we're not just a YouTube channel, we're also a family mail order business. We ship directly to your door, and we do 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples. So you can always go check us out on MrMaple.com, where we often have many of these trees we're talking about for sale, and we can mail order directly to your door. Right here, we've got Acer palmatum Nancy's Legacy. This is one of the more beautiful weeping lace leaves for your garden. It's a selection that is actually the reversion of Toyama Nishiki. You know, people hear reversion, they think, oh, that's a bad thing. Well, Toyama Nishiki is a variegated plant, but when it reverts, it's a tree that has this amazing sort of pink orange color with lime green in the background. It's still a beautiful weeping lace leaf and a beautiful tree for the landscape and the garden. You may be wondering why this is termed Nancy's Legacy. Well, Nancy Fears had mountain maples, and she was someone who distributed mail order plants for J.D. Vertrees. J.D. Vertrees sold her plants, and then she sold them around the country mail order. And Nancy Fears, unfortunately, has passed away. But she loved this tree. This was one of her favorite Japanese maples. And while this tree is no longer Toyama Nishiki, it became Nancy's Legacy. This is a beautiful weeping lace leaf. It gives you some awesome colors and a good weeping habit. This sort of pink tinge that you see over top of that lime green, that's very unique to Nancy's Legacy. To me, this is a fun tree to add to the garden. It goes to some really nice, just like pink oranges in the fall as well. So it's really intense in its fall color. And it's a tree that I personally love quite a bit too. I think it's underrated, and it's a tree that you should definitely be trying out in your garden. Now, Corbin, if you'll come stand over here, this is an amazing species. This is Acer palmatum. Acer palmatum is a rare maple species in the trade. It's actually a tree that grows wild in China. It's closely related to Acer japonicums and Acer palmatums. That's one reason it's called Acer palmatum. It looks, in all intents and purposes, very similar to a Japanese maple that's closely related with. In fact, this particular one is grafted to Acer palmatum. This is a tree that we actually were able to get cuttings from Stan Tyson at the Illinois Botanical Garden and graft as off of one of their specimens they had there. And what I like about Acer palmatum is it's drought resistant. It's a good grower, but it also has some fire engine red fall colors. The species itself is spectacular. I think this is an awesome underrated species that we need to be looking through more and more. We actually have two selections of Acer palmatum that we've introduced here at Mr. Maple. One is Emerald Tiger, that's a variegated selection. And then we have Flying Daggers, which is almost like a macawood out version of palmatum. We're gonna be looking through more of these because it is a fun species and an awesome tree to grow. Now, we've got an array of Japanese maples planted down through this garden right here. And definitely some cool plants. Right here, we've got Acer palmatum Nishikigawa. Nishikigawa is an amazing tree with great fall color, but we got pine bark, y'all. And that pine bark makes this tree have a really old, aged appearance. That makes this tree, especially when it's out of leaf, have some unique winter interest. What I really like about this tree, make sure you get some of that older bark in there as well so you can see how that aged appearance really adds to the garden. Now you'll notice a lot of these trees stretch out towards this open space where I was standing. And that's because we have an oak tree up above it. And the Japanese maples will actually grow out, reaching out towards the sunlight when you plant them underneath the tree. It's something to consider. When we were taken to Japan by Nippon ni Ikitai, which is Everyone Wants to Go to Japan, a real popular TV show on Japanese TV, they took us to the Fukushima prefecture and showed us where the Japanese maples grow out over the rivers. Well, what do? Is they stretch out to the sunlight. That's exactly what this tree is doing here too. We have the oak tree above it, and then you've got Nishikigawa growing out towards the sunlight. Now, one of the things about the pine bark maples is they are also underrated for fall color. They go through some intense shades of pink and orange in the fall that are really brilliant. Everyone talks about the pine bark, but one of the most underrated fall colors. That pine bark, though, gives that aged appearance, and that's one of the reasons this particular selection is so popular for bonsai. Great for containers, and if you go around the other side, you see that pine bark. It's something really adds a unique interest in those winter months. Guys, we got Purple Ghost. Purple Ghost is a really cool member of the Ghost series. It has some reticulated variegation in the veins. We see the veins are a dark black red, purple red, and you see some purple red of a different brighter color shade of purple red popping across the palette. So you have this reticulated style variegation where the veins are so prominent. That gives us something fun and interesting texturally, but the colors overall in this are really bright. They're much brighter than something like a bloodgood out in the landscape. It'll end up getting 10 to 12 feet in height by 10 to 12 foot in width in 10 years. Really beautiful. It's one of, oddly enough, this one was sitting in the gardens at Buckholt's Nursery. The original one's there. We've done cultivar highlights at it before. And it was called a DG92 as a code name. Well, First Ghost came along that Talon found, and he named it First Ghost. And then he realized, hey, this also has reticulated variegation, so it became Purple Ghost. Depending on the year, you can get lavender red to fuchsia red out of the colors on the reticulated variegation. And I've seen some amazing lavender colors and fuchsia colors that are outrageous. Guys, an amazing tree to add a little bit brighter color than your typical bloodgood out there in the landscape. Really cool. Now, coming over here, we have Acer palmatum Kihachijo. I've done cultivar highlights of this tree in the fall where you see the yellows and oranges all across this selection. You can definitely go check that out. Right now, you see that lime green that just gives you that lively, summery feel. And that's what you want in traditional gardening, is something that's going to give you this lime green color, but then when fall hits, wham, you know that fall's there. The change of the season has happened. And that's what Kihachijo can do. Now, Kihachijo has a unique leaf shape. It has a lot of serrations. It's somewhere in between that Matsumuri and a Minam, where it has a fat leaf, but it's divided on the leaf. See, these lobes come deeply back into the leaf, but you also see a lot of serrations, especially on that new growth. And the new growth can be a little bit more lime green. Definitely a fun Japanese maple to have out in the landscape, because not only is it beautiful, not only does it have great fall color, but I've been told by the Japanese that this has one of the most unique, diverse sets of seeds from Kihachijo. So I've been told that you can get lace leaves from this, you can get uprights, you can get variegated trees from this. So I think it's a fun tree to look through. Now, we don't know why that is. That could be because Kihachijo itself has a diversity in its genetics. Or it could be that when Kihachijo goes to a flower, it's open for a longer period of time, or it could just be more receptive to other pollen. But what we do know is that the results speak for themselves. You can get some awesome seeds that are very different genetically, at least visually, on the leaf morphology and how they shape than many other trees. The genetics on those trees are off the charts. Now guys, right here, I'm standing beside Desojo. Desojo is an amazing Japanese maple that's the changes of the seasons. We're here in mid-April, but this tree's been in leaf since probably the beginning of March. When this tree leaves out in the spring, it's a fire engine red. It's one of the most popular trees for bonsai today. People ask for it by name because it's in so many bonsai books. When people are training on growing bonsai, they think Desojo. Desojo gives you that fire engine red. Now, after that fire engine red, it does go this green color that we're looking at. but when fall hits, it returns to a fire engine red as well. And it's hard to distinguish photos without knowledge of the spring color and the fall color because they can look very similar. One of the most intense trees that's very heat tolerant, but it gives you an intensity like almost no other tree. And when it's at its intense colors, it really grabs your attention. Think about planting this in your landscape and using it almost the way you would a flowering azalea. But the leaves themselves are the flowers. You have that amazing impact in the spring, but unlike many azaleas, you also get that return of amazing fall color, and you get the beautiful structure of a Japanese maple. That's a win-win, and this is a beautiful tree you need to be growing. Guys, we got some more gardens around the side here, so we're gonna take you around and sort of show you some cool plants that we've got in this garden. So, little known fact about us here at Mr. Maple, you always hear us talk about our dad who grew Japanese maples, who started growing Japanese maples in the 1970s. That's who was termed Mr. Maple by many local people, and where we get our name of MrMaple.com. My mom's mother, though, started growing Japanese maples in the 1950s. And these green seedlings are some of the seedlings from the trees that she had around during that time. We sometimes will collect seeds from these and grow them out for rootstock. We're actually doing that this past fall. But this is one of the many small leaf green Japanese maples that are some of the results and the lineage of some of those trees my grandmother put out in the 1950s. Oddly enough, we got Japanese maple in our genes from both sides. And they were both growing Japanese maples independently. Kind of fun and exciting here for us at Mr. Maple. As we're coming down through here, we've got a lot of cool Japanese maples and some that are fun and interesting that you've never seen before. But some, like this right here, this is Fountain of Youth. This is one of our amazing trees that we love. This was found from the lineage of Nakakomoto weeping. We had some seedlings from that lineage that we went through, and this stood out from trees like Ryusin, which are in that same lineage. One, because Ryusin has that palmate leaf that we're just showing you on that upright green. This one has a hand-like foliage that is very unique. It's more divided, but it still has that extremely weeping habit that we love with that Nakakomoto weeping legacy lineage, the Ryusin, Golden Falls kind of lineage. This one has that strong weeping habit. As you see here, what we're going to probably be doing is taking this tree up and then letting it have that about 6 foot in height flowing down fountain. But this thing just weeps down pretty awesome. We named it Fountain of Youth. And one of the reasons we named it Fountain of Youth, one, we thought it was a cool name, but it just has that fountain-like effect. And the thing that's distinguished this from probably any of the other trees we're evaluating was that fall color. The more we grew this tree and saw it in its fall color, it is one of the most intense oranges and reds that we have of all of that in that sort of Nakakomoto weeping lineage. So we've got great fall color. We've got a different leaf shape. Guys, that's what makes a cultivar really stand out from the crowd. And here at Mr. Maple, we'll go through an evaluation process where we evaluate a tree like this for 7 years against the 5 closest trees that are closely similar to it. And that allows us to be able to figure out if that tree is really worthy of being introduced. And this tree definitely fit that bill and is something that I think people are loving now out there in the nursery trade. Behind me, y'all, I've got a newer introduction by Talon Buchholz. This is Acer palmatum Blonde Beauty. Blonde Beauty is a beautiful reticulated Japanese maple that gives you some nice lime colors and cream colors in there with green veins. Now, we're in a shaded canopy here. Again, you might even see the oak's branches sticking out over top of this. But if you give this tree some sunlight, it'll get a blonde bleaching across it that is really nice. One thing that is also underrated with Blonde Beauty is the fall color. It can give you some really nice cherry reds to maroons. And I think this is kind of fun because while Talon was naming Blonde Beauty, that's also the same time we were naming Acer oliveranum Hot Blonde. Matt named that one after his wife. I don't know exactly who Talon named this one out after, if he just thought it was a beautiful blonde looking tree, but definitely a cool tree that has serrated foliage and some good color out there in the landscape. Now, it's got a good upright habit, but it does have some of that semi-pendulous branching that we'd think of something like Sister Ghost or Grandma Ghost. But with that blonde highlight that we get on this, especially if you give it some sunlight, that really makes this tree stand out and give that bleached out effect that we love with trees like something like Orange Dream, but on a reticulated Japanese maple selection. So something to consider. Give your blonde beauty some sunlight to really get that bleached out effect that'll really add to what this tree is named for. Now guys, over here we have Acer palmatum green elf, which is a cool Matsumuri little dwarf Japanese maple. But the tree I really want to focus on is this right here. This is a selection by Bob McCafferty, and it's one we haven't offered enough because I've been trying to hold back to get production to where it needs to be. This is Acer palmatum Star of Assisi. Now, if you notice, it has a leaf almost like something like Rhode Island Red, but the habit is something more akin to Shana. You've got a full bloodgood style leaf, but the thing that makes Star of Assisi stand out from the other red dwarfs in the trade, especially the ones that have this full leaf, is it holds its color in the shade long into the season, where many of those trees that have this dense compact nature and red color in a shaded situation will go green. Star of Assisi holds that late into the season. If you're into Japanese maple collecting, when we list this, you'll want to grab it. It's one that's underrated that people don't know yet, that I'm working on production to make sure we can actually offer this in large numbers. I think this is an awesome tree we need to be growing. We need to be growing more of it. One, because it performs so well in the shade. Many people have a shade garden just like this, growing under oak canopy. If you want something that's going to hold its color long into the season, Star of Assisi is a great little dwarf. This particular tree has been in the ground here for about 4 years, and we're still evaluating the process of everything, but I'm telling you, it's a winner, and the way it holds its color in cold frame, in deep shade, that's going to make it stand out from many of the trees that are in the nursery trade. Guys, right here we've got Acer palmatum Nebula. Nebula gives you some amazing colors that leaf out kind of pinkish, but you get lime greens with dark greens, and you get hints of pink red in there as well. And that pink red is left over from that pink spring color. Now in the sunlight you will get more of that pink color, but Nebula has a good strong upright habit. Very similar to something like Amber Ghost, if you're familiar with that. Nebula is proven to be very sun tolerant. It's also a tree that, of those new Ghost series where Talon named trees without having a ghost name attached to them, it has perhaps one of the best fall colors and consistent fall colors of any of those, with some bright, bright reds. Nebula, if you've seen the Milky Way Nebula, it kind of has this color into it. And so Talon's really smart in the way he named this. I think that was really cool. I had an astronomer explain that to me and then show me a photo of what a nebula actually looked like. It was actually like a live look at a nebula up there in space through a telescope he was looking at in a parking lot. I thought that was really cool. But it's got this unique color to it. And I think this tree is going to be a winner that more people need to be growing. That strong reticulated vein shows long throughout the season. I think that's definitely an awesome tree to grow. Now, this is a species that I love that we're doing more of here at Mr. Maple. They keep renaming species. I'm not, it's like someone says, well, I named this Acer seriferum, I named this Acer robustum, we're going with Acer robustum, and then someone else says, well, I had found this years before and named it this, and they just keep changing the names on species. Dr. Crete at SFA Garden loves to say that taxonomists have to eat too. And so, if they find a new species or if they go and rename an old one, they got to have a job in renaming stuff. I like sticking with Acer robustum myself. And Acer robustum is a species in section Palmata, the grouping that has Japanese maples in it. The Japonicum, Sirisolemums, that Pubi palmatum I talked about at the beginning. Robustum's another species in that grouping. One of the reasons I love this is it has some bold orange fall color. It's very consistent, and it gives you some really nice, slight yellows in there, but some really bold oranges. Now, Acer robustum is also frost resistant. That's a superpower like our Heat Seeker series that we offer on Mr. Maple that is super heat tolerant because it has that oliveranum heritage and oliveranum genetics. Acer robustum has a frost resistance, which I think is a really cool trait to have, and something for the future of maple breeding is Acer robustum. Definitely a cool selection that I think of species that we need to be growing more and more. As we're coming through here, we have Acer palmatum Hoofman A. Now, Hoofman A, I'm sure is a code name because at some point there was a Hoofman B as well, but that's sort of what it's known in the nursery trade as. Some people will shrink that down to Hoofman, but at some point they may get that mixed up with the other seedlings. So we keep it with Hoofman A, and we've never met Hoofman, so we can't try to get permissions to rename it. But with some sunlight, you get some pinks in here, which is really nice. You get some really nice cream reticulated variegation. And this appears to be a tree that has that ghost-like structure of like a first ghost almost, that has that semi-pendulous nature, because what we see here is it's arching out from both sides. There's not a lot of upward growth growing on this. And so I'd expect something like this to get 6 foot by 6 foot in 10 years. A rare maple, a cultivar that is starting to hit the trade, something pretty cool. Now guys, as we're coming through here, we've got Oriental Mystery. It's a selection from Europe that has some nice red colors now. It fades out to a green and goes oranges to reds in the fall. A selection that's not really hit the trade much yet. We've been offering some on Mr. Maple, but an upright tree overall, that's something that might be fun to try. Now, for you plant people who love unique selections, this is a really neat cornice. This is Cornus alternifolia canuma. Now, canuma is known for having some unique variegation. And right now we have a lot of yellow across it. And I mentioned it's a dogwood. As a Cornus alternifolia, it has a clustered white bloom we're seeing here. And I really have to get this tree back in production. It's fun and exciting. Later in the summer, you can start to get a zigzag variegation. I'm trying to see if I see any now, where it'll literally have a zigzag across the leaf in one color, and one side of the leaf will be green and the other side will have a lot of this yellow variegation. Definitely a fun Japanese selection of a giant dogwood that'll get these clustered like blooms, not like your traditional dogwood you think of, but something that's fun and exciting to grow. Over here, we've got our first graft off of Acer palmatum watermelon. Now, our original watermelon is over at my parents' garden on the right side of the garden, and that's the seedling. This is one of the first grafts. Watermelon leaves out in the spring, and the leaf bud shields that, as it's leafing out, are like a pink color. And then you have this green new growth with a little bit of pink tipping. And because of those two tones with that green, we called it watermelon. It's a vigorous weeping green lace leaf, and is one of our original lace leaf selections we made at Mr. Maple. Now, this is a pretty cool selection by Masao Shiano. Masao Shiano wrote the book on Japanese maples in Japan. And it's half in Japanese and half in English. Now, what he did is he often found seedlings that were different than what he saw around in the trade in Japan and made selections, which is really unique because there's a lot of cultivars in Japan. We went and visited him in Japan at World Maple Park in close to Nara. It's in Uda, Japan. And we asked him, how many cultivars do you have? And he said 1,200. And we said, how many of those did you name yourself? And he's like 500 to 700 I named. So he really named a lot of selections. Now, this particular one is Takitori. It leaves out in the spring with a sort of blonde, metallic sheen to it. It's really neat in the way it does it. It has this larger aminum leaf, and you see a lot of edging around it. See these tipping. And that makes this tree sort of have this iridescent appeal to it, which is pretty nice. It's got an upright habit overall, so you see it's got this upright structure. We expect it to get about 10 feet in 10 years. I do believe it does go to reds in the fall. But again, a selection by one of the maple greats, Masao Shiano from Japan. And we try to offer this tree as much as we can here at Mr. Maple. Now right here is a unique variegated sport on the cultivar Glowing Embers. Kind of something unique we'll probably be producing again at Mr. Maple, but the plant I really want to focus on is this one here. And you might need to come over here so you can really get some lights to show a little bit of the colors on this. This is a selection by Dick Vandermaat that we haven't offered too much on Mr. Maple. we're starting to get it more in production. It's Acer Palmatum Barbara. Dick Vandermaat's known for amazing spring interest colors. We've got trees like Isabel. We've got trees like Mila. We got some amazing spring interest trees that just pop and give you vibrant colors in the spring. What Barbara does is this tree in the early spring leaves out as a bright pink. It's one of the brighter pinks, and ended up getting about 6 foot in height, by about 4 foot in width in 10 years. So it's a denser, compact form tree that I'm falling in love with. And this is a tree that I think will become one of the next Milas that everybody's after. We've got some small numbers of this and really starting to get this more in production again here at Mr. Maple. One thing that I love is we're seeing a lot of growth here. And that growth will be great cuttings and scions for us to be producing more of Barbara in the future. That color is not even close to the color pink this is when it first leaves out in the spring. And those bouquet Japanese maples, those trees where the foliage is the flower, are simply amazing. When they can give you that azalea-like effect with their leaves, I think that intensity is quite striking. Now, over here, we've got Bronze Age. Now, Bronze Age is an Acer Shirasanum hybrid that is a selection by Talon Buckholt. It's one of his wife Haruko's favorite trees, but it can give you some intense bronze colors with lime green veins. And I think that is one of the things that makes this tree stand out and makes it so attractive. It also continues to put on that bronze color throughout the season and give you those lime green all throughout it. And Bronze Age is an Acer Shirasanum, so the leaf is a little bit fuller. You see a little more lobes of the leaf than a typical palmatum. And what you see here turns to a bright, bright yellow in the fall. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty fun and exciting and something we need to be doing more and more of. So over here, we've got Acer Williamson's, the chocolate maple. Now, when this tree leaves out, which again, this tree leafed out over a month ago, it has some really nice chocolatey foliage. That chocolate color, that chocolate brown that just is different than everything else in the landscape. This is a rare maple species from China, extremely rare. It's pretty awesome they were able to produce this. And it has this upright structure, it goes green, and in the fall, it often gets more of that yellows with a hint of orange in the fall. This particular has a lot of flowers on it. The flowers, if you look at them, are actually much larger than your typical palmatum. That gives something interesting out there in the landscape. I see some really large flower clusters on this selection. Gives us some idea that there might be future in Japanese maple breeding for possibly flower interest as well as the foliage. I think that's something cool when you look at some of these other species in Japanese maples. The leaf structure looks something very similar to something like almost cultivar, like a Osakazuki or maybe a Sao Shika, where it has those star-shaped leaves. Very reminiscent of your Acer palmatums. Again, this is in that section palmatum as well, but definitely a cool maple species that I think we need to be growing more of. Now, if you have the 4th edition of J.D. Vertrees and Peter Gregory's book, Japanese Maples, you may recognize this tree. It's the cover. It's Acer palmatum Mon Papa. Mon Papa is Italian for my father. I think that's pretty cool to have a Japanese maple named my father, especially since my father started the nursery here at Mr. Maple. This is a red Matsumuri that has a really nice, you can get some really nice green veins into it, as you may see on the cover photo for Japanese maple book, but it has an upright structure that arches out. There are 4 editions currently of J.D. Vertrees' book. The 1st and 2nd edition are green. Those were the ones written solely by J.D. Vertrees himself. The 3rd and 4th editions, Peter Gregory helped along. The 3rd edition is red on its cover, and then the 4th edition is green. And this, like I mentioned, is the 4th edition's cover photo. Really beautiful, really amazing, and has that really nice arching out effect with that Matsumuri style leaf. Something pretty fun and exciting in the garden. I like trees that are different and stand out. One of the trees that stands out to me is this one right here. This is Acer palmatum Kawahara no Midori. It's a selection by Guy Malot in France. Now, Guy Malot of France is a friend of ours. He has one of the biggest maple collections in the world, like us here at Mr. Maple. And this is one of his that has a bright lime green leaf, and it goes to yellow in the fall. But the bark on this is lime green as well. So this is a green bark Japanese maple that you can put out there with your bihus that go to yellow and your sengokakus that go to that coral red to give you a trifecta of color out there in the landscape, and give you something that's really beautiful in those winter months. I think this is a really cool tree, needs to be grown more of. Now on this side, we have a real bubbly leaf Japanese maple. This is Acer palmatum moonshadow. Now when moonshadow leaves out in the spring, you actually have a red border around each and every leaf. Again, we're here in mid-April, so they've been in leaf for over a month and a half, so much of that red border is already left. But the leaf shape is almost a cartoon-like leaf of what we draw for an Aminum leaf. It looks very different. It looks fun. It looks childlike, like a childlike drawing of what you'd draw a maple leaf. And that's what I like about it. I think in a children's garden, I think this would be fantastic. It's a tree that in 10 years gets about 6 foot in height, and it will start to get some width to it as well. So we'll end up getting about 5 foot in width. We get yellows and oranges in the fall as well. And it's just a fun tree to have out there in the garden. I think that that very full leaf makes this tree something that's interesting, especially if you can plant it up close, plant it near a walkway. Again, each leaf kind of looks like you drew it out there, and that gives you something special for the garden. Over here, y'all, I've got a couple amazing plants. On this side, I have Acer palmatum Isabel. This is another Dick Vandermeer introduction that leaves out as a brilliant shade of pink in the spring. So this is very vibrant, intense on how bright this color can be. Again, leaves out over a month. We see a little bit of that pink on this new growth, but it's a very shrub-like tree. It'll be about 6 foot in height by 6 foot in width and get very dense overall, adding some really nice colors. And as we're getting over here, so right here, I've got another fun pine bark. This is one selected by Masayoshi Yano I talked about, and it will get some really nice barking in there as well. You'll see it's shorter stature, it's wider frame than something like Nishikigawa. You see that pine bark in there, but really what this tree was selected for wasn't the fact that it has a shorter stature. It was selected for having a bronze spring color and having pine bark as well. So it gets a little bit of bronze when it's leafing out, but also displays some great pine bark. So it is one of the first spring interest pine barks, kind of like Allen's Gold, that really gives you something different than a traditional pine bark cultivar. Down here is a rare Acer Janala that Matt and I named That's Amore. Acer Janalas are known as the Amore maple. Believe it or not, this tree is over 10 years old and it's been planted here for probably about 6 or 7 years. We need to get this tree in production. It's just a matter of getting some Janala rootstock and grafting it or doing cuttings. But Acer Janala is typically a large tree. This particular one is variegated. And so we're calling this That's Amore because it has that variegation on an Amore maple. That's Amore. You may be familiar with that, the song that means that's love. It's slightly different than Amor, A-U-M-U-R, but it's sort of a play on that, saying that's Amore. Pretty cool, rare tree we've never featured before on the Mr. Maple Show. I thought y'all would enjoy seeing some cool, fun plants that maybe you've never heard of and some classics as well. Y'all, thanks so much for joining us today on the Mr. Maple Show. This has just been a short walkthrough of some fun, exciting trees that I wanted to show off today. Remember, you can shop with us on MrMaple.com with a lot of these trees that we have out there, and then you also see some behind the scenes things of some awesome trees like That's Amore that we're working on. Y'all, thanks for joining us today. Take care, God bless, and have a great day.